Hi, Kristen here with Railey Realty. Joining me today is Justin Liller, and we are here to talk to you guys about the benefits of buying. So Justin, you've been an agent for almost 15 years, right?
Getting close to 15 years now.
Yep, and your dad and your mom are both agents.
That's right. My mom and dad are both agents at Railey. My dad has been an owner, and I kind of grew up in this business. I've been going to the office with my dad since I was 5 years old, so I guess you could almost say I've been in this business for 30 years.
Yeah, and you bring your son into the office and your daughter.
I bring them into the office every chance I get. They absolutely love it.
And they're always out on the water. We're very jealous.
Yeah, I try to spend as much time on the water with my family as possible, and that's why I absolutely love living here at Deep Creek Lake.
Awesome. So we're here to talk about the benefits of buying. So I guess we should start with some of the risks of renting. So if you're renting a home, what are some of the issues that can pop up?
Sure. So I would think that probably the biggest risk in renting is the loss of equity. If you take up the amount of money that you're paying for rent every month, let's say it's $1,000, and then let's say you've kept that house for 3 years, you've blown $36,000 in rent that could have been used towards building equity in your own home.
And that's a lot of money when it adds up.
It is, and there's no way that you can ever get that money back. So once it's gone, you've lost it, and that's why if you're in a situation where you can afford to buy a home and you can be pre-approved, it's way better to purchase a home than rent.
Yeah, and I think you can run into some issues when you're renting with maybe an unmotivated owner. You could have a bad appliance or bad furnace, and you can't really control them fixing that problem.
You're right, and that's why it's really important to read your rental agreement if you are going to rent. But sometimes you'll run into issues, and an owner may not be as motivated as you are to make sure that that house is in good shape. Some of the other issues that we see all the time is that, you know, when you're renting a house, you want to make it yours, and so you go and spend a lot of money in landscaping and hardscaping. I actually went through this myself. My wife and I put probably a couple $1,000s into building a patio at a house that we rented, and then when you leave that rental, you know, you just, yeah, you lose everything that you've built. So, you know, there are definitely some downfalls to renting, and some people are in a situation where they have to rent, and that's okay. You know, you can get yourself built up to the point where you can buy, but if you're in a position where you can buy, it is way better off in the long run to go ahead and buy a house.
So one of the most common questions we get along those lines is rent to own. Can I rent to own this home? How does rent to own work? And it's a little more complicated than the general public thinks. So can you walk us through rent to own?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'll say rent to own, in the 13 plus years that I've been in real estate, I've yet to see a rent to own situation work out.
Wow.
They just typically don't work. But if you get the right situation, it can. And when you rent to own, you still don't own that home until the day you close. So if you do a 2-year rent to own, occasionally you can work into the deal where some of the rent that you've paid over those 2 years will count towards your down payment on that home, but you don't own the home. So you still have to ask the landlord's permission for anything that you would go and do.
Right, and I think a lot of homes that are for sale that do the rent to own, they might have a contingency with a kick out, which means you could lose out if someone else comes along.
That's right. A lot of times these homes that are in a rent to own situation will still stay on the market, and so you could lose the home because there's a ready, willing, and able buyer that looks at it and wants to make a move right away. The other situation you run into is that you almost always have to keep your home clean, and for those of you out there that have kids like I do, you know it's almost impossible to keep a home clean 24/7, but you could be at work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and get a notification that somebody wants to show the home at 3 o'clock, and
yep.
You know, occasionally that situation's not going to work out if there's kids' toys thrown everywhere. So rent to own has its place, but if you can, you know, if you can get pre-approved for a mortgage, then you're never going to have to deal with that situation.
Another term we hear is owner financing. Can you just real quick explain what owner financing is and how that differs from rent to own?
Yeah, so owner financing, when you owner finance a home, you actually do close on the home before you move in. So you do own that home, and it is deeded to you. The homeowner, prior to you buying it, then holds a note for your mortgage, and typically they'll give you anywhere from 3 years to 10 years to make payments on that, and then, you know, they'll want you to make a purchase. That's a rare situation because the homeowner prior to you for the most part, has to have no mortgage on the home to be able to do that. If they have a mortgage, they can't transfer it to you because unless you pay them what is owed, the banks aren't going to let you transfer that home into your name.
Right. So what are some of the big benefits of buying? Obviously, we've covered a couple. One is that it might be cheaper to actually have a mortgage than rent. What are some of the other benefits?
Yeah, you're right. I've seen many cases where a home here in Garrett County is renting for $1,000 a month, and the market value of that home might only be $150,000. So chances are you could buy that same home or a home very similar and have a mortgage that's lower than your rent and be building equity.
Okay, so some of the benefits of buying we've already kind of discussed with the risks of renting. Yep. So what are some other benefits of buying?
Well, I would say that the number one benefit to buying is that in general it's going to raise your credit score when you're paying a mortgage. If you look at the credit reporting, that tends to be one of the bigger percentages of what your credit score is based off of. Another big benefit to buying is that we still have the mortgage interest deduction in the tax code. So every penny that you pay in interest throughout the year is going to be deducted off of your gross income at the end of the year, which is going to lower what you have to pay in terms of taxes.
Right. Plus, when you own the home, you have that pride in ownership. When you do your landscaping or you paint the outside, I mean, that's your house, and there's no correlation to that sense, of ownership.
That's right.
Get that renting.
That's right. And obviously there's no guarantees, but when you start making those improvements to your home and you're paying your mortgage every month, chances are you're not losing value in your home. So when you go to sell it, you're probably not going to have to come to closing with a check because the improvements that you've made over time are just increasing the value of your home.
And another maybe scary part when you're thinking about purchasing a home is you're thinking like, this is forever. I'm going to buy this home and I'm stuck with it forever.
Yeah, and that's often not the case. So a lot of these homes, when you buy a home, you're going to live there. Maybe the average ownership of a home is 7 years here in Garrett County. But when you decide to leave that home, you're going to have options. If you own it and you've been making those payments, you're going to have hopefully some equity in it. You could resell it and make a little bit more money to put down on your next home. The other option, of course, is you could put a renter in it. And typically once you hit that 7 to 10 year period, if you refinance your home, your mortgage is going to be low enough that you could put it on the rental market and actually make a monthly income off of that rent.
Wow. And that kind of applies for secondary home. We've mostly been talking about primary, but if you're a secondary home buyer and you're thinking about buying here, you also have that rental potential to supplement your income.
That's right. Deep Creek Lake historically has proven to be an incredible rental area for transient vacation rentals. So if you put your home in that rental market, chances are you're going to make some nice money. We have homes here at Deep Creek Lake that range anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000 a year in rental income. So a lot of that's going to depend on what you buy, but as long as you take care of it, chances are you're going to be able to make money with it.
Awesome. So you are interested now in buying instead of renting. What are some of the first steps you should take?
Yeah, so the first step that I would recommend anybody taking is to contact one of our local mortgage professionals. We are really blessed here in Garrett County that we've got some great mortgage professionals. They have excellent programs for credit, as low as low moderate credit all the way up to the top tiers of credit. There's special programs based on what your profession is, and a lot of times those guys can get you pre-approved for a loan within 24 hours. And if you don't if you can't get pre-approved, they can set you on a path that will get you to the point where you can be pre-approved.
Right. I think a lot of people my age, first-time home buyers, they don't know where to start. They don't think they have good credit, and a lot of the mortgage lenders around here can say, these are the steps you should take, and you can probably purchase in X amount of months, which is very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take those steps, I've seen it time and time again with first-time home buyers. If you take those steps, typically in 3 months to 9 months, you'll be ready to buy, and you can get yourself into a home here and have that pride of ownership.
Awesome. Well, that's all that we have for you guys today, so we're going to go hit the water and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks a lot.